Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium, Carolina Bowl 2020, alongside Dave Harding, former captain and all-ACC offensive lineman here at Duke. I'm Ryan Craig, and Dave, what a day it's been. One win apiece. North Carolina won the 5th grade game. South Carolina comes back and wins the 6th grade edition. Up next, 7th grade, and it seems like the quality of the football just continues to get better as obviously there's a physical maturity that's taken place as we progress through the age groups.
Without a doubt, but it started at a pretty high level with 5th grade. It's been fantastic. Players showing up on both sides of the ball for both states. I'm really excited to see this 7th grade crew. Certainly, as you mentioned, maturing. These guys are ones that have been able to specialize a little bit more in their sports, whether it's along the line of scrimmage or in the backfield, and you're bound to see some fireworks tonight.
And what's incredible, too, is as you get into the 7th and particularly 8th grade, these are already guys that are on the radars of college football programs. That's just the reality of recruiting nowadays. These are names that are going to be familiar to people in the coming years. By the way, the weather has cooperated here in the last hour or so. Started as a rainy, cloudy day here in Durham, but absolutely beautiful now. Looks like these final 2 games will be played under sunny skies until, of course, the sun goes down. Kickoff set for 7 p.m. in the 8th grade game, somewhere in about that region. Thanks for being with us here on YouTube throughout the day. This is a game and an organization that really has its roots all the way back to 2012. It's taken on a couple of different iterations. They've added years, but it has become just a fantastic event for everybody involved. And as you can see, slightly modified version of the kickoffs. 5th and 6th grade, there was no live kicking at all. Here you can see a kickoff but no return here at the 7th grade level. Opportunity, of course, to feature the kickers and allow them to be seen as well. Just amazing. You know, Dave, when you put an event together like this, think about all the different boxes you have to check, from rules to just simply logistics. And they talked about getting everybody around on buses and meals and hotels and uniforms. And I mean, it's absolutely outrageous, but it all comes together on a day like this. And when you see the final product, it's just a credit to everybody that's involved.
Oh, so many moving parts. And the Carolina Bowl has done a fantastic job of creating what a unique opportunity for these players from both North and South Carolina to come up and have a piece and to experience what it's like to be in really the college bowl game type atmosphere. They've participated in different events, done some community service, and certainly practiced a lot. This is a chance for them to come out, show what they're made of, and have a lot of fun.
Early timeout, and I mean very early timeout for South Carolina. Second play of the game. 12-minute quarters, another modification from 5th and 6th grade to 7th and 8th. Played 10-minute quarters the first 2 games. There'll be 12-minute quarters for the 7th and 8th grade versions. Timeout still the same, just like you'd be accustomed to at the high school, college, or pro level, 3 per half. South Carolina using their first, 37 seconds in.
Right off the bat, we saw Lincoln Husky in at quarterback, handing it off to N.J. Fowler right up the middle. Good little gain on first down, and it's been interesting to see over the past 2 games, and certainly I expect the same to play out in this one. Both of these teams kind of take a quarter to feel each other out, and they've been practicing a lot this week, but once you're under the lights and the big stage, things get a little bit more intense, and emotions can be riding high. It takes a little time for those to settle down.
A collision in the backfield. Somehow Aaron Littlejohn able to hang on to the ball and then sort of reorient himself toward the line of scrimmage, and eventually gains a couple of yards on the play. That was obviously not what everybody had in mind. You see the two just running into each other.
Yeah, going with a 2-back set, and you typically expect for the running backs to go in opposite directions, or if they're going in the same direction, for one of them to become a lead blocker. At that time, Aaron Littlejohn able to use his athleticism to make up for some of that awkwardness and get to the edge and conserve a third down opportunity.
Bomar will keep it this time. Bomar down the right sideline. One man to beat. Bomar pushed out of bounds at about the 15-yard line. Only Xavier Adkins preventing him from going the distance. Tremendous athleticism there.
Take a look at Bomar. Just reads the play, fakes out the camera a little bit as it was a zone read. Excellent job. Sees that the defense kind of goes in to corral the running backs, and there's nobody accounting for the quarterback.
Jamarius Bomar, big-time gain. 1st and 10 for South Carolina at the 16-yard line. Bomar flanked by the 2 running backs once again. This time does hand it off. Good use of the stiff arm, but great pursuit by North Carolina on defense. It was an Ajay Fowler looking to get to the outside. Initially beat the first man, but couldn't beat the second and third.
If this early possession's been any indication, Ryan, the run game is going to be featured heavily for this South Carolina squad, whether that's a quarterback or any one of the running backs that's been flanking them in the backfield. I mean, those players, you know, just been very impressive early.
Change at quarterback. And down goes the QB. Meet you at the quarterback defense for North Carolina. 2 or 3 different linemen involved in the sack.
Isaac Wren, number 52, did an excellent job working over the right tackle. Take a look. He'll emerge from the right side of your screen. There he is, converging on the quarterback. That's Lincoln Husky, number 11. Gets the sack. Got away just for a second until his teammates could come in. Great pass rush by Wren.
Bomar in at quarterback once again. Being chased out of the pocket by Chaz Knox. Sends one defender to the ground, breaks another tackle, but he's still going to be tackled for a loss. Excuse me, it was a slight gain. It was 3rd and 20 on the play.
We talked about the running game being featured heavily, Ryan. I mean, part of that is you see right here is Knox, 56, coming up the middle. This pass rush for the North Carolina defense is the real deal. And they've been able to apply pressure every time South Carolina has gone back to pass. So clearly the forte so far for South Carolina is in the run game, getting those offensive linemen firing out of their stances and getting upfield for blocks, allowing the plethora of running backs to do what they do.
It's not going anywhere. In fact, it's going to lose quite a bit of yardage for South Carolina on 4th down. So the North Carolina defense holds and will take possession at just about their own 28-yard line.
Yeah, another example of Wren here, playing defensive end, working again over the right tackle, and got up the field to provide some contain. I don't know if it seemed like a broken play initially, but Wren showing up twice on that last drive in a big way for North Carolina.
Ball at the 28.
So North Carolina will take possession, 8:44 to go in the first quarter. They'll come out of the gates throwing. It's Braden Atkinson looking for and finding Joey Johnsky.
Nice little screen action toward the North Carolina sideline, and Johnsky had some blockers out in front. Number 7, Zach Frazier, did a good job of providing a little extra support, some open space, and Johnsky able to take advantage of it.
Johnsky from about 30 minutes down the road in Raleigh, North Carolina. He'll take the handoff here and get the first down after about a 2-yard gain.
Joey Johnsky takes the handoff.
Good work here, bringing them in motion, trying to get outside of the defense, able to do that, but also had the wherewithal to understand where that first down marker was. Got north and south quickly once he saw a small crease, and that's all that was really required of him. in order to pick up the first down. Good sound running. Johnsky's showing he can do it all.
Atkinson rolls to his right, had a little bit of time and space, elects to throw it, and finds Moriangelo Scaines, the receiver, for another first down for North Carolina. Let's talk about the run-heavy offense for South Carolina, and North Carolina doing a lot of damage through the air.
Well, Atkinson doing a good job. He actually laid it up. There are two receivers down the field, Frazier and Johnsky, on deeper routes, deciding to just go with the underneath to Scaines. And great decision, but tremendous accuracy on the run to lay it out only where the receiver could catch it. It was a very catchable ball as well.
Nice catch that time, one-handed by Atkinson just to keep that play alive. Hands it off to Johnsky. That snap nearly ended up 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That would have put North Carolina in a bad spot.
Yeah, people talk about as a wide receiver you need good hands. Look at the snag there with his left hand, one-handed grab by Atkinson. And if he's not able to do that, the ball's sailing right past him, and for a devastating play for the North Carolina offense. Great job of being able to accommodate that snap and keep the play alive.
I don't know if it's overstating it. That's probably a 15 to 20-yard swing. That was a gain of 8, probably a loss of 10 or so, and down by contact, say the officials, before the ball came out. So now third down and medium for North Carolina in blue, South Carolina in white.
You talk a lot, Ryan, about the recruiting and what kind of prospects these players are turning into. Don't think for a second that college coaches don't take into account the hands of the quarterback, especially in these gun sets.
Atkinson. How about that catch? No, didn't complete it. I thought that Xavier Atkins was going to come down with it, did most of the work, just couldn't. Gosh, how many times we talked about completing the catch, right? Completing the process of the catch these days, and he was not able to do it there. High pointed it, just like you're supposed to.
Watch number 11, Weaver, come in, keep fighting. It seemed like the receiver had gotten up and over, but Weaver gets his right hand in it right there and pulls it out to make it incomplete. As a defensive back, you've got to always keep working toward the football. The play is never over.
Potentially an offsides here for South Carolina, which would make things very interesting. 4th and 5.
Prior to the snap.
It is offsides. Will it be a first down is the question. And it looks like it will be good for a first. So that's really, in essence, right, it's a penalty. It's also a turnover for exactly South Carolina.
Right. No doubt. It's as if they had punted it, given it to South Carolina, and then they threw an interception on the very next play. Huge mistake, especially after the defense had done a good job of bowing up there with the great pass defense down the field.
1st and 10 at the 38 for North Carolina. It's Johnsky again, bottled up initially. Great second effort, gets out to the edge, and first down yardage for the running back for North Carolina.
How about Johnsky? Working, does not give up on the play. Take a look at the replay. Starts off to his left, does a good job of kind of reading what's going on in front of him, evades the contact initially, and look at him put his head down there. Again, great awareness and understanding of where the first down line is, getting there, and it's a nice chunk of yardage that he picked up.
Whistles blow with 6:09 to play in the first. These referees and officials have an interesting job here this afternoon, particularly at the 7th and 8th grade level. You know, it's one thing to kind of know the rules of football as they are normally, but there are a lot of tweaks for this game in particular about, for instance, defensive backs having to play 3 yards off from the line of scrimmage. You can play any leverage you want, but you have to be 3 yards off. You can't jam anybody at the line of scrimmage. And certain blitzes are allowed and others aren't, and certain formations are allowed and others aren't. And that's not normally stuff you would have to worry about when you're officiating a football game. So there's a couple extra layers to all of this. We saw a call last game in the 6th grade game where you're not allowed to blitz at all from anybody, and it was a little bit of a gray area call. That's not something you're normally even worried about at all.
That's right.
When you're officiating a game.
Yeah, it was an illegal blitz. You're also not able to see or will not see any kind of wing T offensive formations or empty sets where you can go five wide along the outside. The defense is set to a 4-down, 3 linebacker look. So there are certain rules within this scheme that make it a unique evening for some of these officials. So far, we've seen really good job, though, by these refs.
And most of the rules, as Johnsky gets the handoff on 3rd down, it'll be 4th down for North Carolina. Most of the rules are designed to allow the offense to have more success. They're kind of favor the offense. Johnsky's, if the first quarter is any indication, he's going to be a tired man by the time this game is over.
Yeah, off to a really hot start. Been impressed with his vision so far.
North Carolina takes timeout with this 4th and 5 upcoming. Already in this game, we're seeing a couple of extended drives. There were so many possessions in the 5th and 6th grade games, and that's completely understandable. And you're just not going to have the passing game that you might, at this level. Be interesting to see how the rhythm and tempo of this game differs from some of those others. If the offenses can start to get into a bit of a cadence. As somebody who played this game at the Division I, the ACC level, what a difference it makes if the offense can be out there, get a couple of first downs. All of a sudden the playbook opens up a little bit, get out of the shadow of your own end zone, and you just start to develop a little bit of a rhythm, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's huge, especially early in the game. You want some of those extended drives. Although they might not result in scores all the time, it helps first with the nerves. I mean, this is a big deal for these players to be selected, earn their way onto these teams, and then earn their way onto the field here. And then beyond that, it's about building chemistry. These are players that don't play with one another during the course of the year, trying to figure out kind of the feel and the vibe of the game, and also some of the elite competition you're going against. It always took me a couple of series to get a feel for what the defensive line was going to be doing. What kind of style do they have? Is it a player that wants to get his arms on me, hold me up, or beat me with quickness across my face? So that's all the things that these players are dealing with right now, and those extended drives help with that.
4th down. Johnsky again needs to get upfield. Fighting hard, still on his feet. And will get the first down 2 or 3 different times. I thought he was going to be stopped short, but the drive will continue for North Carolina.
Incredible effort by Johnsky. Take a look here, just a simple out route, and Johnsky looks dead in the rights right here. Look at that. How many points of contact does he have? Like 10 white hats around him. Keeps fighting. Again, the awareness of that first down marker. Look at the yardage that he picks up. Gains about 4 or 5 yards after contact. Aware of where he needed to be to keep the drive alive.
And after all that, he still only had the first down by about a yard. I mean, it's not like most of that was icing. He needed every inch that he got there. That looked like a false start. North Carolina, perhaps.
Yep, got away with one there, the right guard position.
Guess who? Johnsky again cuts it back upfield to the 5-yard line, where he'll be taken down. Johnsky is an absolute workhorse for North Carolina.
On this replay, just take a look at how slippery he is. The flexibility, he kind of turns his shoulders. Take a look at the shoulder, the leverage that he gets when a player comes to hit him. He gets low right here, dips it, gets around, does a great job of getting skinny to where there's not much surface area for a defender to wrap up on.
First and goal for North Carolina. Got to figure this is going to Johnsky, and South Carolina knew it.
Nate Ernest in there, number 55, did a good job. Take a look right up the middle. Knifing in there. Number 55, initial contact, allowing the rest of his teammates to converge.
DJ Henderson making the play.
It's a big stop when you consider the fact that they were first and goal.
Johnsky once again. South Carolina had it sniffed out a second time. If you're South Carolina at this point, it's got to be, as Caleb Constantino makes the play, it's got to be make anybody but 9 beat you. You know where North Carolina is trying to go at this point.
Without a doubt. And the way you do that is penetration. Constantino there getting in on the action, able to get upfield. If you can cut away and cut off Johnsky's angles and his ability to cut and get skinny, converge, get upfield, you'll be successful defensively. And so far, South Carolina's got that figured out.
Bootleg lofted to the corner of the end zone. And a flag down on the play. Will we have defensive holding or pass interference? Would have been 4th down for North Carolina. The rollout from Atkinson. Looking for Tate Ryan in the end zone, but was Ryan illegally impeded?
Got pass interference, defense.
It'll be pass interference and a fresh set of downs for North Carolina. And this South Carolina defense, how many reps do you have in you with your back to the goal line? So hard. In essence, you're being asked to make consecutive goal line stands.
I think that's an uncatchable ball.
We'll start with Johnsky once again. Basically a replay of first down the last time, as he is surrounded by South Carolina defenders. What a stop this would be for South Carolina. That's now 4 consecutive plays defended inside their own 7 or 8 yard line. Should be 2nd down. Should be 2nd down, I believe, because the pass interference would have given 1st down.
Yeah, I think there's a mistake. Got to be 2nd down after a pass interference call, which, by the way, I think was an iffy call at best. Double covered, and it was a ball was thrown out of bounds. Should really not have been thrown, but regardless, that should be 2nd down. Instead, the board and the field showing 4th down.
Yeah, because even without the penalty, that last play would have been 4th down. So this play, This is either 5th down or it's 2nd down. And I don't see the University of Colorado out there with the 5th down play. Throw toward the end zone, picked off in the end zone, and oh boy, what a touchdown saving tackle that was. Looked like it was Xavier Atkins. The interception thrown is one thing, but that could have gone 100+ yards the other way. Armani Weaver had 6 points in his sights if he's not taken down from behind.
Yeah, ill-advised throw, but Weaver just kind of sitting on the route. Watched the quarterback's eyes. Was able to jump in front of the ball as it was kind of lofted up there. Great work.
Handoff is to Anaje Fowler, who gets South Carolina 6 important yards as they're backed up pretty deep, close to their own end zone.
Carries for South Carolina. 2nd down.
Less than 2 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Ball on the ground, still available. Looked like South Carolina may have fallen on it and perhaps gained a yard in the process. Heads up play that time. Looked like Jeremiah Jackson was the one that came up with the loose change.
Excellent job by the big fella, finding the football, working in there, the scrum, and pulling the ball in to maintain possession. That's a huge play in the course of this game when you think about it, coming off of a sudden change with the interception, and then North Carolina could have been set up with great field position. Great work by Jackson.
The lefty throw, that one is picked off. Zach Frazier the other way, and he'll be tackled. Flag down, hat down, more flags everywhere. Goodness. Take a minute or two to sort all of this out. 3 penalty flags and a hat. As it stands, an interception.
Jackson also down.
Yeah, Jeremiah Jackson, yep.
Made the great fumble recovery, so got a lot to sort through here. The flags were thrown immediately as the ball was being intercepted.
And one of them right next to Jackson, so you wonder if there was some kind of low block on Jackson during the return. I mean, this is all speculative, obviously, and I mean, there are probably 2 or 3 different calls here to try to talk through, but we will get it to you. For now, minute 1 on the clock. North Carolina ball after the interception. Zach Frazier picking off Lincoln Husky on what was a 3rd and 2 for South Carolina.
We got multiple fouls on the play. Blocking the back on the return team. You got ineligible downfield for the offense. They go offset. We're going to replay the.
I'm not sure why you would replay the down, because one of those was after the change of possession.
That's right.
And the one that would have offset that would actually be helpful to the offense.
Exactly.
And could be declined by the defense. So I don't know that, and yet obviously you could see the North Carolina coaching staff wondering how this is the case. I don't pretend that I'm a licensed official, so I don't know how that's supposed to be adjudicated. Here's another look at the play. Bottom left, there you see the
illegal block,
huge block, and yeah, that block has been officiated out of the game, so that's where that penalty was.
But
good to see Jeremiah Jackson sitting up now as the conversation continues with the officials.
I do agree, Ryan. I think that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because conceivably, if the illegal block in the back had not occurred, the offense or the defense could have declined the penalty of an illegal player down the field.
Well, yeah, and
they're both on the. Oh,
I mean, both penalties. We're saying the same thing.
That's right.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, technically, there was a penalty on both sides. Yes.
But one
possession
occurred
changed
after
in the middle of the play. So I would think that would make a pretty big difference, and that's a.
No, the ineligible receiver downfield should have been declined. You enforce after the interception the penalty on the illegal block after the interception occurred.
Yep.
So the ball should be North Carolina ball
10 yards farther
10
back.
yards back.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Instead, it's going to be first down, South Carolina. As Anaje Fowler powers through and past the 20-yard line. Boy, we have had plenty happening here in the first quarter. All but some points on the board.
That gain is sufficient for South Carolina.
Yeah, I'd love to get an explanation on that. I just
we call Dean Blandino into the booth?
Yeah, that's why they have.
Yeah,
I think that's been a really interesting part now of football broadcasts, is how you have that kind of former referee consultant.
The game is so complicated, and there are so many different rules. You do have to defer to the white hat down there right now to get it all right, but certainly didn't make sense on that last time out.
There'll be a loss of a couple on that run. And likely the final play of the first quarter. Helmet comes off for Tyja Nesbitt.
South Carolina. Gus Knox made the stop for the North Carolina team.
And so we will go to the second quarter, I would think, 0-0. South Carolina lining up for a potential final play. But they will not snap it in time. Scoreless after 12 minutes here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium. Dave Harding next to me, pulling up the radar. Rain on the way, apparently. But for now, the precipitation has held off. Johnsky's been busy. So have the defensive backs. Couple of interceptions, one overturned. Stay with us, an exciting one here, the 7th grade edition of the 2020 Carolina Bowl.
We don't have much, we don't have a lot. We're not a big 6A, 5A school with thousands of kids. We have like 35 kids on the team. And whatever they get, man, they really appreciate it. I wanted to put our kids in the best situation possible. Zenith is consistent. They're ranked amongst the best in regards to protection on the NFL level all the way down.
Family on me, family on 3, 1, 2, 3.
It gets real tomorrow, fellas. We're playing against a pretty darn good team, and we got to go out and execute. Are we prepared mentally?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've thankfully partnered with Zenith. They're doing a wonderful job, but we want to just show you a little something.
They really care about kids. They really care about our future. And I happen to have 2 kids on this team. So that means that they care about what I care about. That's a wonderful match.
Fumble on the first play from scrimmage here in the second quarter, and for the second time, it looks like South Carolina may have fallen on the ball.
Jay Fowler covered his own fumble.
Take a look here, just a miscommunication on the handoff.
Instead, they've given it to North Carolina.
South Carolina with clear possession of the football, and North Carolina is given the fumble recovery? I mean, I'd love to see another look at this as our replay crew sets it up. Here it is. Ball on the ground, and 14.
Najee Fowler has it for sure. It's pinned up against his chest. No doubt. No question.
They think Chase Heath, 25, I believe, for blue initially had it, but that is just incorrect. So 2 huge.
One for each side.
Or calls, yeah, 1 for each side.
And now North Carolina collides. Johnsky picks the ball back up. He's trying to find some open space. This has been a helter-skelter from the Zebras to those dressed in blue and white last 3 minutes or so.
Yeah,
certainly.
This is going to require some reset for everybody and try to figure this thing out, because it has just been all over the place. Helter-skelter, the best word.
Let's take another look. This is,
I mean, you've got a player in motion running into the quarterback, running back handoff.
well, and you wonder too, Dave, and we've seen this now for both teams. That one is drifting out wide and nearly intercepted by Christian Henderson. These guys have not practiced together a ton. And these plays are happening where there's lots of different guys going in different directions, and you wonder if you say, all right, let's just simplify this thing. Let's go back to the basics, right? Single running back, hand it off, maybe less motion, shifts in formations, that type of stuff, just because it seems like it's a little convoluted right now.
Well, the most success that we've seen any team have is on the ground. Joey Johnsky, really number 9 for blue, has been the one with the most success. And you're right, it's when it's been simple, just a handoff up the middle, simple passing patterns.
You see Turner McSwain moving his running back to the other side. Now McSwain taking off, and he puts the ball on the ground, and that's going to be recovered by South Carolina. Forced fumble recovery. Aaron Littlejohn makes the tackle, puts the ball on the deck, and gathers it up himself.
Just poor ball security. Littlejohn does a great job of flying in and wrapping up on McSwain. Take a look. Sees the football, rolls right around it. The ball is not tucked, just kind of out and away from the body of McSwain, and Littlejohn able to capitalize on that. So these players taking matters into their own hands, saying, okay, if we get a bad break from officials, if there's a mistake, we're going to make up for it with some big-time defense, and South Carolina finds himself back in position to drive the field.
So many different ways that this sport presents teachable moments, and right now this feels like one of those games where it's whichever team can just sort of settle down. Whoever can just execute, right, to use that cliche, their offense or their defense, not make the mistakes, not let anything on the outside impact them mentally. It's just whoever can kind of settle themselves down first feels like the one that's going to take advantage of the situation here.
You're right, and there are so many ways that you can apply that to life. Really cool. That's some of the lessons this game teaches. You know,
running through a couple of tackles was Bomar there.
Yeah. If at first the game or breaks go against you, don't let up. Put on more steam. And as a player, I learned that. Here you can see South Carolina kind of trying to do that. They've had some breaks go against them. They're trying to put on a little bit more effort, and good running there by Bomar. But in life, things might not initially go your way, and you've got to keep chipping away at it. And these players are learning that in different ways that they can apply these lessons through football to every facet of what they do.
Second and 10. 4 yards there for Najee Fowler.
Third down, really curious to see what South Carolina opts to do here. Kind of in that medium range, definitely not in 4-down territory. So do you try to throw the ball when you've been having success on the ground? Only one receiver wide.
Here's Bomar with a blocker in front and maybe just stumbled. I don't know, did you see anybody get a piece of him? I think he might have just tripped.
Monster got him, Ryan. I mean, he had a leader out front with a bunch of grass to go. I'm surprised that that ball did not at least pick up a first down. Take a look at it here.
What if he tripped at his teammates' feet?
2 players out front, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think he and Tyja Nesbitt got crossed up with each other. And so it's 4th and 2. South Carolina electing to go for it inside their own 30-yard line. Flag down on the play, and this may render all of this moot depending on if it's a defensive penalty, it's going to be first down. If it's an offensive penalty, you got to think that South Carolina is going to punt. Yeah, it's a false start on the offense.
I think, honestly, that bails out South Carolina because the play didn't seem to have a lot to it there. You see the false start by the lineman, number 55, on the inside, and that makes the decision easy for the South Carolina coaching staff.
So at 4th and 7, South Carolina will punt. Brock Feinberg on the punt for South Carolina. And North Carolina will take over at the 45-yard line. There you can see the rules on special teams. No rush, and if the player catches it, that's where you get the ball. So North Carolina to take over at its own 45-yard line. With 8:19 to play in the second quarter, you see Johnsky, the weather moving in right above us. Blue Devil Tower. Under the lights now here. Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium.
Certainly does look a little ominous moving in. It's been beautiful weather so far today, and rain seems to be imminent.
Another fumble. Did South Carolina get possession inbounds? Looks like the referee says the runner might have been down. pointing to the turf up around where the ball was lost. Let's take another look here.
Great work by 2 in white. Christian Henderson, ball clearly out before the knee is down. And we don't have a clear recovery inbounds. So the spot should be back where the ball went out of bounds. Another terrible call by this officiating crew.
Instead, the run up the middle for Kendall Scotton. It'll be 3rd down for North Carolina.
It's unbelievable.
Constantino was the tackler on the play.
Maybe a step off sides there at the defensive end position for South Carolina. Instead, 4th down with 7:36 to play here in the first half.
You've got to credit these kids. And we talked about adversity going against you, but South Carolina could have put up a fit. Now it doesn't matter. They go back out, do their thing, and force a 4th down chance. And, North Carolina's going to have to punch. So the ball gets turned over, and you know what they say, Ryan, the old adage out on the playground, ball don't lie. And so far, it seems to have worked itself out regardless.
So here we'll see another punt without the rush. Ball will need to be caught. Otherwise, it'll be spotted where it rolled out of bounds. So 1st down and 10 from the 22-yard line for South Carolina.
And that weather's rolling in, man. It's about to get a little blustery. It is actually just picking up. Look at the wind, and the flags are just howling as this front rolls through Durham, North Carolina.
Swirling winds. The rain is now starting to come down as well as conditions take a turn for the worse here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium.
I mean, there are umbrellas flying everywhere. It is a significant wind. Luckily, we're tucked away inside.
Blustery conditions.
Can't say the same for our camera crew.
You can even hear through our microphones the rain coming down. I'd say that the 7th graders have drawn the short straw.
You could say that. You could certainly say that.
Whatever hopes people had of throwing the ball here in the first half. Is that another fumble? Officials say the play was dead.
Taking another look here.
Nearly a fumble on the exchange.
Getting upfield. Ball is out before the knee is down.
Another collision in the backfield. That is, I think, the 3rd time we've seen that. It's happened to both teams. What is that play, Dave? What is that called? What are they trying to do there?
Oh, I think it's a little zone read action that the quarterback's trying to read the backside defensive end. Take a look here. I just think that it's a miscue by the other running back. In that case, number 10, going the wrong direction. The read with the quarterback should only be between one player and the quarterback, not both backs. And so the other back needs to act as a lead blocker.
They're more of a traditional handoff that time, plowing ahead near the 1st down marker. Perhaps just short. It was 3rd and 3.
You could pretty much
call it a 1st down.
Bank on the run game being the course of action for both of these offenses as conditions have just completely fallen apart. Very windy. You've got to run the football.
Bomar running over one defender on his way to about a 3-yard carry. I'm with you. If you're the offense, you throw about half the playbook out right now, and if you're the defense, you got to be thinking run first.
Bomar coming up a little gimpy there at the end of the play. Take a look at this, though. Watch him hit number, 5 right there, 25. Completely runs over him, but Bomar coming up at the end of this play with some issues, seems to be one of his legs.
5:08 left in the second quarter in what has been by far the most interesting first half we've had all day. We've had a number of near turnovers or actual turnovers. We've had, I think, disputed calls would be one way to put it. We've had the weather go 180 degrees. People have sought shelter.
In some cases, under other people.
Under people or alongside them.
Yeah, it's been wild. And yet there's still a game going on. You know, we've got some injuries to deal with as well. Take a look at how much rain is coming down.
It's Bomar up onto his feet, looking to jog it off back to the South Carolina sideline. 2 timeouts for both teams. Still another game to go, by the way. The 8th grade game will kick off around 7 o'clock. Good news for those teams, this field drains unbelievably well.
And
there was a hurricane that passed through the area a couple of years ago. You would not have known it was raining outside with the way that this field drains. It was absolutely remarkable. So that really won't be an issue.
This facility underwent some...
That was through one set of hands and into another. It was nearly Johnsky with the pick. Instead, Frazier comes up with it off the left hand of Lincoln Husky. A flag is down. And we'll wait for the call. Frazier came up with the interception, an eligible receiver downfield for South Carolina. That will be declined, and North Carolina will take over at the plus 40-yard line with just under 5 minutes to play.
Here's a look here, trying to throw the ball in adverse conditions, and it just comes out.
Tip drill.
Of the quarterback's hands awkwardly. Ball gets tipped, and you've got to credit Frazier, able to pick up the football. And another turnover, Ryan. This game has just had some unexpected ups and downs.
I'll tell you what, that is a heck of a catch by Zach Frazier.
Yes.
That ball is coming in hot. Good arm from Husky. Deflected a couple yards in front of him. Completely changed direction. Almost hit him in the face mask. Somehow gets both his hands on it. Hangs onto the ball in these wet conditions. Take another look at the play. I mean, 6 or 7 yards in front of him, that ball gets deflected, and no big deal.
The ball may have been even deflected at the line of scrimmage the first time. So think about the reaction time that you've got to have. That football changes trajectory at least once, potentially twice, as we get another look here. Back to throw. No, initially not tipped. Off the hands of 2 players.
And just right by the head. You know, a lot of times if somebody runs in front of you, you lose sight of the ball, lose vision. You don't know what to do. What if that guy in front of me catches it, so I've got to start tackling him? How many times have you seen that play? And instead, Frazier just
great
all
reflexes.
This stuff flying all around him, and he just says, okay, take that.
And by the way, the ball's wet, and it's in the middle of the rain.
Yeah.
You got rain pouring down in your eyes. Huge play, and is that enough to set you up to score some points here?
Well, you know, putting it on the ground means that Johnsky's going to be involved for North Carolina. That's a 5-yard gain on first down. By the way, we've had all this happen. It's the 0-0 game.
Exactly.
This feels like one of those 65-60 Big 12 shootouts, and yet it's 0-0 right now with 4.5 to go in the first half.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you do expect, you know, Johnsky, just a heavy dose of him in this rain.
There he is again. Up the middle, looking to try to cut it outside. Down to the 29-yard line. Clock will stop with the first down. Plenty of time for North Carolina here in the second quarter.
Good work by Johnsky, the vision there off the right side, cut back to the left. Again, the knack for finding that first down. He's just continually gotten to those positions where he's falling forward to pick up a first down.
I know you like that block by Greg Davis downfield, pancaking somebody toward the end of that play. Johnsky again.
I mean, you better bring your lunch pail if you're trying to tackle Johnsky. An arm tackle's not going to cut it. You got to bring your shoulder, get your head across the bow, make some contact, bring your feet, because Johnsky will run through you otherwise.
Bryce Hall is down for South Carolina, involved in that last play. 3:46 to go in the second quarter.
Injuries really, Ryan, the toughest part of this game. You certainly hope the best for Bryce Hall.
You mentioned got to bring your lunch pail with you. This is in on the tackle against Johnsky.
Falls awkwardly. Doesn't feel good once he gets up and does a smart thing to get down. Luckily, there's a good training staff come out, assess him, and certainly hope the best for Bryce Hall with such a bright future ahead of him. Able to get off the field on his own power.
It'll be 2nd and 5 for North Carolina. The right hash with 3:46 to play. 2 timeouts available. Let's look at Kamari Ponder, Zach Frazier lining up outside of the right as wide receivers. Handoff inside this time. Leaning forward is Noah Terry. He'll be a couple yards short of the first down.
Going again to that two-back set. Got Johnsky, and if you're the defense, you're expecting number 9 to get the ball, but they're handing it off to number 8, Terry. And again, I think just with the hot hand of Johnsky, you've got to find a way to get it to him.
3rd and 3. It is Johnsky looking to cut it upfield and does. Johnsky will have the first down. They'll need an extra ice bath after this one.
Take a look at the vision of Johnsky. He starts off to the right. A defender gets upfield. It's Bomar, number 1. And watch him cut up underneath it, back inside toward the teeth of the defense. See number 1 flash right there? Johnsky sees him, gets back around, and that's the difference in picking up a first down or not.
Looking toward the end zone on the throw. Xavier Atkins, the intended target.
Getting some one-on-one coverage on the outside there. The North Carolina coaches see that South Carolina's loading the box, willing to play one-on-one on the outside with a player like Atkins, and you like your chances with how physical he is, can go up, high point the football in the red zone, and come up with a touchdown. Got to do that occasionally to keep the defense honest.
Nice tackle, darting in from the secondary, and Ajay Fowler. The loss of 1 on the play.
Really nice work by Fowler. Waiting, watching to see where the ball carrier goes. And a linebacker, very much like a running back, got to have vision and a feel for where the hole is. There, Fowler just kind of held out, pulled his trigger at the last second, and had that closing speed to be able to go make a physical play in space.
Fake the handoff, throw downfield, incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
Seemed like a little bit of miscommunication between number 7, Frazier, and number 2, Ponder. Kind of in the same area. Regardless, was nice work by Armani Weaver, the defensive back, to stay in there, provide a little extra support to where that pass falls incomplete. 4th down now with 1:40 to go on the clock. I mean, this is a very important play when you consider whether or not North Carolina has to give the ball back to South Carolina with a timeout and 1:40 to go, where they can certainly make something happen.
Timeout. Blue.
Speaking of timeouts, North Carolina will take one of their remaining 2. Each team left with 1 timeout now, with 1:40 to go until half. 0-0 the score as the rain continues to fall here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium. You wonder if this is a chance just at halftime, obviously depending on what happens last minute 40 here, but for everybody just sort of take a collective deep breath. It's been such a crazy first.
It really has. Both teams
22
have
minutes
made
or
a lot
so.
of plays, haven't they?
Yep.
A lot of ups and downs, a lot of adversity to work through. And you're right, if you're the coaches, you go to the halftime house in the locker room and just say, let's regroup.
How about that play on 4th down? Outstanding job by DJ Henderson to even earn South Carolina a bit more field position. So they'll take over now outside their own 25-yard line.
Look at him bust through the middle. It's a double team between the center and the left guard, and he finds that little sliver of space required, able to split that, get up the field, and make the tackle. Excellent work by Henderson along the defensive line.
So now South Carolina takes over. See Lincoln Husky motioning for his 5th lineman.
Yeah, Husky's pretty upset, and he's got to get the ball snapped in 2 seconds.
And now South Carolina is going to have to burn its last time out because they didn't have their entire offensive line on the field. And if I'm a quarterback, I don't blame him. Wait a second, I'm not doing this with 4 linemen.
Yeah, the game's hard enough with a full complement of offensive linemen, much less spotting yourself down one. So good work by Husky to realize that there was that issue, and also the coaching staff to see that they were up against the clock. But a critical mistake when you consider the fact that it's a minute 34 to go, and that timeout was incredibly valuable. And when you think about the chances of you being able to throw down the field in a minute 30 to get all of those passes out of bounds, or to have the right combination of incomplete to stop the clock without a timeout, that becomes very difficult to do.
I've always wondered in that situation, I've always thought about this, is it better just to take the 5-yard penalty?
Yeah, that it very well could be.
Rather than use your last timeout.
In a situation right now, though, where you've got such strange conditions with the weather, you've struggled, if you're South Carolina, to really throw the ball very much. I think spotting yourself back 5 yards is more of a death sentence than losing that timeout, because you've got to dig out of such a larger deficit, especially with North Carolina still holding on to 1 timeout. You don't want them to get the ball back.
And now a flag down. Speaking of 5 yards, North Carolina will surrender 5 yards here for being offsides. All right, so now because you took the timeout, it's 1st and 5 instead of 1st and 10.
Works out.
Other side of the coin, you can say, well, you'd have 1st and 10 anyway, and you still have the timeout. But all these things tend to average out over the course of a game. Husky loading that left arm, looking downfield, has his man. Making one person miss is Christian Henderson. He's tackled at about the 40-yard line. The clock will stop with the 1st down. You know, that's the other piece of this that I always weigh with the timeout, is because you're going to get these stoppages along the way for first downs, but
there's a flag.
A flag at the 30-yard line means that none of this will matter. And instead, it'll be back to 1st and 10.
Couldn't really see, Ryan, who the ineligible receiver was downfield. Typically means it's an offensive lineman that maybe doesn't get the play or gets a little bit too aggressive with that defensive front trying to block somebody.
And probably thought at that point that Husky was going to scramble rather than throw the ball, and maybe got downfield trying to block for him. That happens sometimes. The ineligible man downfield after 4 or 5 seconds.
I think they're getting the right tackle in this situation. Number 38 potentially snuck out just a little bit. You've usually got about a 3-yard cushion, and if you get in the gray area, you got a chance of having it called.
This time Husky does pull it down. He's going to be able to gain some yards and probably get out of bounds. Yes. Big time collision on the far side of the field. Did he get all the way out, or are they just stopping it to move the chains? We'll find out in a second. Minute 13 and a first down for South Carolina.
Great decision by Husky. Realizes that North Carolina taking all of his options away downfield. Kind of gives a pump fake, gets away from the initial defender. Doesn't see Frazier, the defensive back, flying in from the other side, though, and takes a hit. As a quarterback, you definitely want to avoid those situations if possible.
Did get out of bounds. Flag on the play. Husky, another one of those South Carolina players today from Boiling Springs.
I'd be interested to see the penalty yardage for each one of these teams. I mean, there has been a plethora of penalties.
Not only the penalty yardage, but the yards lost on plays because of penalties, or turnovers lost because of penalties. Had that throw down here to the 40-yard line. The ineligible player downfield brings it all the way back. North Carolina at one point had an interception. That was overturned, and there's some discussion as to whether that should have happened, but a penalty was part of that conversation. Here's Bomar. Able to turn upfield, stays in bounds, though. Might have been better just to run out of bounds there. Might not have been worth the extra 3 or 4 yards as the clock continues to run.
Yeah, I think Bomar would have been better suited as we take another look. He's got such good vision and speed. Just get to the outside. Get out of bounds. You're so close. Even there, can find some more yards, but the clock right now is not your friend.
Yeah, that play ate off about another 20 seconds of the clock, and now with Bomar being swallowed up for a loss of yardage, I would imagine we are just going to head to halftime. North Carolina does have one timeout, but it's just 3rd down. If you're South Carolina, I think you're content to go to halftime here.
And North Carolina ends up calling the timeout.
Yeah, North Carolina at least wants to force them to snap the ball one more time in these conditions.
Blue.
10 seconds to play. Final timeout of the half for both sides. What a half it has been.
It's been fun, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Weather, adverse conditions, tough plays, really good athletes, some mistakes sprinkled in, and you've got a 0-0 tie. I have a feeling, though, that the second half is going to be totally different than this. These coaching staff's going to go back to the locker room, kind of make some adjustments, and come back out in the second half with much fewer mistakes, and I think also a better game plan with what to do, plus the weather might clear up.
Head coaches in this game, Rodney Barr from Lower Richland High School, Hopkins, South Carolina. Terrence Saxby, Hertford County High School in Ahoskie, North Carolina. Perhaps the final snap of the first half. The handoff and a tricky reverse. So how about this, the pass now? So much for playing conservative. Bomar steps out of bounds with zeros on the clock, and that is how things will end. Not what I thought we'd see. How dangerous the pitch back. Couldn't that have gone a number of different ways? Instead, zeros on the clock, zeros on the scoreboard. Or do we have
There was
one
1
more
second
play?
left on the clock when he went out of
Referees
bounds.
are saying there's 1 second left on the clock. North Carolina is halfway down the tunnel already.
They're in the locker room.
So they'll come back out here for one final play.
The clock doesn't show that there's 1 second left.
Shows there's 15 minutes left, actually. And this feels like the perfect ending to the first half we've had here in the second grade game.
Of football. Here's another look, and try to count it off.
Well, here's Husky. He has to get his body turned around, slings that one downfield with the left hand. Bobbled in the air for just a second, but Bomar was down on the turf, and that is the final play of the first half. A 0-0 tie after 24 minutes of football here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium. Deflections, turnovers, penalties, controversial calls, really good plays. We've had it all here in the first 24 minutes of the 7th grade game here at the 2020 Carolina Bowl. Stay with us on YouTube.
Hello, and welcome to Bull City Music School, where we offer classes in piano, strings, brass and woodwinds, percussion, and voice lessons. At Bull City Music School, we're more than just music. We have a holistic approach to teaching and learning called the Modern Approach. The Modern Approach is about looking at a student's psychological, emotional, and physical development towards their creativity, individuality, and most important, their self-confidence.
At Zenith, every product we make starts with developing a deep understanding of what athletes need and want to perform at their best. For our new helmet, we used thousands of athlete interactions and hundreds of hours of on and off the field sessions with athletes, coaches, and parents. We paired these insights with laboratory data, computer simulations, and material science to develop the best product for athletes in game time situations. The result is the Zenith Shadow, our most evolved football helmet. Across protection, fit, comfort, and agility, Zenith Shadow is the most complete helmet in the game. Zenith's core helmet technology was refined to optimize protection with adaptive fit, all-game comfort, and tuned balance. Zenith Shadow delivers the best on-field experience in the game at a price that's accessible to athletes, teams, and organizations. At Zenith, we believe the most successful designs solve for the needs of the athletes and their teams. With Zenith Shadow, the resulting functional performance, together with iconic styling, gives athletes the confidence to focus on the game and perform at their best.
Zenith Loop, no cap.
I love to sing. It's just something that flows through my body. When I close my eyes, I can really just feel myself let go. I just like to live in the moment. You know, I feel like I'm flying. In one moment, my whole life changed. Those 3 words, "you have cancer," flipped my life around and changed it for the next 4 years and then the rest of my life. I remember the first day when I walked through the doors of St. Jude. My mom and I got this feeling of just safeness, sanctuary, and now St. Jude is family. They're my second home. Without them, I wouldn't be here. Right now I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm 4 years cancer-free. But I feel like there's so much strength in my voice because I have so much to share with the world. Like heartbreak, struggle, hope, and love. My inspiration is all my friends who have lost their battle with cancer. They're the ones I lost, but they're what made it so special because they showed me what real strength was and brought life to it and made me understand how lucky I was and made the journey worth it. I would have never met them if I hadn't gotten cancer, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. I want to make them proud. I want to show them not just that I was worth saving, but that I'm really living to my fullest potential after cancer and that there's so much more for me to do.
No, I've never met you.
Treatment, doing well and performing our national anthem. Please welcome St. Jude patient, 17-year-old Haley.
The donors of St. Jude are lifesavers because I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for making my dream come true, being able to see this moment that I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
Running for the kids.
All right, yay!
St. Jude.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the St. Jude Memphis Marathon Weekend.
Team Carson.
We are ready. Team Carson Elizabeth is ready.
Good luck to you. I love you.
And we're all running for Carson because that's nothing to what Carson went through.
Team Carson!
How would I describe Carson? Bubbly, spunky, she likes it her way, witty, beautiful, tenacious, brave.
Strong. Strong physically, strong-minded, and strong-willed. I think I was sitting on the stool, putting on my shoes, and she was standing at the sink. She had kind of been complaining about her knee, and I said, Paul, I really think her knee is swollen. I think we need to have it looked at. So we went to an orthopedic doctor. The x-ray, he saw something.
And the doctor said, it's osteosarcoma. I want you to go to St. Jude. That was the day our world stopped. We walked through the doors of St. Jude, and from the minute we walked in the door, we knew they were doing everything they could possibly do. Carson had a tumor above her knee, and every scan showed it was growing. It was doubling in size every 21 days. After we had done 3 rounds of chemo, they took out the entire inside of her leg and put in a titanium rod, including her knee. She had 3 lung thoracotomies, one that included moving her heart to the side to take out a mass that was growing behind her heart. And never once did St. Jude give up hope. Carson fought with a battle that most adults would never be able to achieve. But Carson's journey is now over. She died 3 months after her 9th birthday.
And although we only had 9 years with her, I mean, she changed our life forever. And there's not a day that goes by that we don't think about her and miss her.
I met Carson and her family in the emergency unit of the hospital the night I was diagnosed as St. Jude. Carson is the strongest person I have and will ever meet. Carson is not gone. Whenever you need help, just think of Carson, and you can sense her presence, and then you will feel invincible with a fighter like Carson by your side.
Before she passed away, she sat down with her daddy and I on the couch. And she had a big, fat, pink piggy bank with a pink tutu around it.
Carson told her mom and I that she wanted her piggy bank and all the money in it to go to St. Jude.
She truly believed that her money might make the difference, that somebody else wouldn't have to go through what she did. So, from that, Coins for Carson was born at her school, and now all the kids make blinged out pink piggy banks out of Kleenex boxes, and they collect their coins to give back to St. Jude.
And to be able to see her friends carry that out, I know it gives me strength and encouragement, and I know it would her as well.
We won't give up. We're just gonna keep raising money because I want Carson's legacy to live on.
Now I have the honor of introducing Paula on Team Carson. Their goal was to raise $100,000 for St. Jude. They achieved it by raising $106,000.
St. Jude has pushed the survival rate for childhood cancers to more than 80% today. But when your daughter falls into the other 20%, then that percentage is no longer acceptable. We believe that no family should ever have to bury their own child or endure their child's odds of survival being 80-20. That's why our marathon team won't rest until that survival rate is 100%. And together, may we finally put an end to childhood cancer once and for all. Thank you.
Hey! Team Carson!
That's my therapy, running.
Feeling good for Carson.
It's a good time for me to talk to Carson. I cried at the finish line, and I cried for Carson because she didn't get to ever cross that finish line. But I cried because it was over. Because it's just a feeling, because it's a feeling like no other. That from one little girl, all this developed from one little girl. I think that shows that her legacy lives on. And I hope that it grows to something even bigger, because I think she's probably smiling about that now.
to Blue Devil Tower here at Brooksfield at Wallace Wade Stadium. Halftime of the 7th grade edition of the 2020 Carolina Bowl. Alongside Dave Harding, I'm Ryan Craig. Dave, that was a wild first half here in this game. 24 minutes, back and forth, penalties, turnovers. The rain comes in, it leaves, comes back. Crazy stuff here in the third game of 4 today.
Yeah, it really was. But through all of that, there was some good football that emerged. And you like to see the fight from both of these teams, fighting through the elements, through the adversity, putting on more steam despite some of the things that went against them. And I expect the coaching staffs for both of these programs to have corrected some of the issues, some of the penalty problems that we saw in the first half, and be ready to come out and play a clean slate in the second half.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half. You mentioned the adversity. These are turnovers. Sometimes they're bad breaks. Some of it had to do with the weather, but these are the kinds of things that these guys are going to have to turn the page from. The weather has moved out for the most part, so it should be a little bit better in terms of the way they handle the ball.
Yeah, and, North Carolina doing a good job of rallying to the football at times. But, there have been so many different breaks for both of these teams. I think in order to come out and do better, you've got to find a way to get the ball to that guy right there. Number 9 in blue, Joey Johnsky has done a great job of finding some open holes in the run game and making sound decisions with the football. He's really been one of the sole bright spots offensively for North Carolina. And South Carolina, I guarantee you, found a way and worked up a way to try to defend him. It'll be an interesting game of cat and mouse to see play out here in the second half as to who's able to come up with the upper hand in that battle.
Johnsky has been the focal point for the most part for North Carolina on offense. Jamarius Bomar, a lot of times on the ground. It's been Lincoln Husky more through the air. And Najee Fowler toting the rock quite a bit for South Carolina. 0-0 score. Just hard to believe that that's where we are given all the fireworks from the first half. But nobody able to really sustain anything offensively.
One thing to keep an eye on, Bomar in the first half, number 1 for White, had some issues, seemed like with his lower body, leg maybe injury. He's been one of their primary players, so has he been able to kind of get that stretched out, get that worked on when it comes time for South Carolina to tote the rock in the second half?
Yeah, a number of players leaving the field with bumps and bruises at one point. Everybody seems to be okay as we get ready to start the second half. 12 minutes on the clock. Again, a reminder, around 7 o'clock, we will have kickoff of the 4th and final game of the day, the 8th grade matchup between North and South Carolina here as part of Carolina Bowl 2020.
Some primetime football coming your way. Bound to be a good one.
It'll be Caleb Costantino to kick it off for South Carolina. Of course, untraditional kickoff. And wherever North Carolina touches it is where they will have the ball. So it'll be 1st and 10, North Carolina at right about the 35-yard line.
Wind has died down, Ryan, but the rain is still coming down pretty strong. So that's still a factor to be considered here, especially when it comes to passing the football and ball security. An issue for both of these teams in the first half.
Braden Atkinson in at quarterback, and immediately a whistle.
Dead ball, illegal substitution.
South Carolina, an illegal substitution. Make it 1st and 5 to begin things for North Carolina.
Definitely not the way you want to start the second half. You should have had your formation and everybody personnel-wise figured out at halftime.
Johnsky cuts it outside. Now upfield. He'll have the first down after a pickup of 8 yards. And because it was 1st and 5, It'll give North Carolina a new set of downs.
Got his offensive lineman coming over and dapping him up. Good work by the big fellas up front. Take a look at number 65 there, getting downfield, springing him for a little extra yardage. Good work.
Second time we've talked about Greg Davis doing that exact thing, blocking 8 or 10 yards downfield.
He'll be in contention for best offensive lineman of the game, playing at left tackle.
Johnsky tripped up that time. It's a nice play made. Looked like it was Anaje Fowler, the linebacker, and Johnsky limping just a bit. Peyton Jones slow to get up from the turf and now actually back down again. So 36 seconds into the second half. We'll stop for an injury timeout. It'll be 2nd and 11 when we return to play. You see just kind of bodies rolling up on top of each other. There you saw where Johnsky might have hurt his ankle just a bit, and he seemed to be okay. Same with Peyton Jones. He'll try to walk that off. Both teams ready to line up for the second down. Atkinson, the running back to either side. The fake to Johnsky. Now the throw out wide. Took a second for Xavier Adkins to figure out which way he wanted to go. Eventually, a gain of just a couple. 3rd and long for North Carolina, right near midfield.
Got a pretty complicated offense out there. Actually have Johnsky reading the safety. It's kind of an RPO type situation where he rides out the read a little bit longer and then decides to throw it late. Don't often see that level of complication in an all-star game like this, much less at the 7th grade level.
Here's Atkinson looking long for Johnsky. Instead, it's picked off. A nice over-the-shoulder interception. Back the other way, Armani Weaver started out the game wearing number 11. He's changed into number 12, and another turnover. This time, South Carolina able to earn possession.
Yeah, trying to find Johnsky down the field, and you think the pressure is likely what caused that ball to be floated up high. Nice work to locate the football through the rain, and Weaver comes up with a big turnover to set South Carolina up with their first offensive possession of the second half.
It's a nice job by Johnsky, too, because Weaver had an escort downfield. This return could have gone for quite a few yards. Instead, 1st and 10, South Carolina at their own 48-yard line. Powering his way downfield, and Anaje Fowler. Helmet comes off. So he'll have to exit the field for a play.
Really strong run there by Anaje Fowler, just getting in behind his pads, bowing down, and just keeps grinding through it on a little delayed handoff up the middle.
Bomar keeps it this time. He'll have the first down.
Bomar's got some good length to him. And his strides, he doesn't look like the quickest player, but he's got some longer legs. And watch, just as he opens up, the ability to move away from the defense there. Good vision, very patient runner. He's a player we were a little concerned about, had some issues with his health in the first half. Seems to be much better here in the second stanza.
Ian Grissom now at quarterback, and he is chased down by Nick McIntosh.
This is a really aggressive and active front four for North Carolina. You think Nick McIntosh earlier in the game, we talked a lot about Isaac Wren, the defensive end on the other side, but take a look at McIntosh coming in there over the top and just finishing off on the tackle.
Looked as though Grissom thought he had somebody to hand that off to and didn't. Second down and long. There goes an Ajay Fowler down the sideline, still on his feet. Johnsky and others riding him to the ground. Long gain. First down, South Carolina inside the 10.
Well, it's been South Carolina's ability to run the football that's been the big difference here lately. And Ajay Fowler, what a run over the left side. Gets the handoff and just takes off. Good blocking by his teammates down the field. Take a look there, number 10 in white. Nesbitt trying to lead the way, and great play to get you into the red zone.
Johnsky, McIntosh, and others. No give up on the play by Johnsky, who 2 or 3 different times tried to bring down Fowler and finally was able to. Certainly seems like the closest that South Carolina has been to the goal line today.
Think about the toughness of Johnsky. You bring that up. I mean, playing both ways, really physical. Certainly the MVP offensively for this North Carolina squad so far, making it happen on defense too.
Omar inching closer to that goal line, was met there once again by McIntosh. Zach Frazier was there.
We've talked about the great play along the defensive line for North Carolina, and they're really going to need to lean on that here. Third down and goal inside the 5-yard line. It's where the big guys up front. It's really a man-on-man battle. Who's able to get better leverage, get up underneath the lineman, and enforce your will one way or another.
5 seconds on the play clock. Handoff. Drifting toward the goal line, drifting into the end zone. Yes, touchdown, South Carolina. An elite towing and recovery touchdown has put South Carolina ahead 6-0 here in the third quarter.
Talked about the need for that defensive line for North Carolina to bow up, but it was the offensive front for South Carolina that was able to get it done, and it was a consistent effort by Fowler, just continuing to work at it, get some of his players around there, and push them into the end zone.
So now South Carolina will go for 2. Bomar looking to get to the perimeter. Got one defender to beat. Did the ball break the plane? Yes, says the official. And it's 8-0 South Carolina. Two-point conversion.
It's a foot race, Ryan, to the far pylon. Look at the defenders in motion there, trying to get there. A little stiff arm late. Got it around and into the end zone. Great work on that drive. You think about the South Carolina drive after the turnover. Go down the field with the big run play. Get into the red zone and then polish it off with a 2-point conversion to go up 8 over your rival North Carolina.
So another kickoff now will come from the foot of Caleb Costantino. $7:16 to play in the third quarter. And we'll do that again. Costantino one more time again where North Carolina catches it or touches it. They'll have it up around the 39-yard line. Scooped up by Xavier Adkins. 8-0 the score here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium. Can North Carolina sustain something on this drive? Joey Johnsky has been asked to do a lot for that team. Is there somebody else that can give them some production, especially make him a little more multifaceted?
Yeah, and especially get concerned with Johnsky and the fact that he's got to play both ways. Can he make it all 4 quarters playing both ways with how much he's been used in the offense?
Flag down.
Dead ball, encroachment, offense.
How can the offense have encroachment? I've never heard that. It's a false start, illegal formation, illegal motion. I've never heard of encroachment on the offense.
I mean, certainly there was something that had gone awry, but I don't think.
I'm perplexed, to say the least. But we live to play another down. Here we go.
Okay, 1st and 15. Oh, there's a completed pass. Catch and run. Catch in space. Kendall Scotton chased down by a South Carolina defender from behind at the 10-yard line. Who cares what the penalty was, says Mr. Scotton. Let's get on with the proceedings, and with under 7 minutes to play, or right at 7 minutes to play, North Carolina in business in South Carolina territory.
Great run. Watch the pursuit, though, by Littlejohn, number 8 there, to close in and make the tackle, touchdown-saving tackle right at the 10-yard line. But Scotton showing some speed. Didn't require much space, as you said on the call, Ryan, but once he had some, he was off.
Here is Johnsky. Cut down by Fowler. And Fowler, another guy. Those two, Johnsky and Fowler, they've seen a ton of each other. Both playing on both sides of the ball. Often involved in tackling each other.
Really nice work by Fowler. I mean, he came all the way from the backside linebacker position to hunt down Johnsky.
Second and goal for North Carolina. 3 plays, you would imagine, to get 9 yards. Johnsky stifled initially, and then permanently forward progress to the 9-yard line. Will probably go down officially as no gain.
Watch the pursuit here. Everybody comes in. Initially stopped up by Constantino, number 44, and then lets the rest of his teammates come in. Johnsky's a tough person to bring down, too. That's not easy. Constantino gets the job done.
So now 2 downs to get 9 yards.
Spread it Johnsky out wide.
Trying to get the ball in his hands in a little bit of space. Johnsky nearly went down and ended up actually losing a couple of more yards. It's going to be 4th and goal from the 15.
As good as Johnsky is, Ryan, you mentioned it earlier, they're going to have to find somebody else on this North Carolina roster that can step up. Take some of the pressure off of Johnsky. As soon as he goes out wide, we called it too, the defense knows it. They're trying to get the ball out to Johnsky in space.
His knee was down the early portion of that play. 4th and goal. Atkinson asking for his receivers to get to the corner of the end zone, nearly finding Looked like it was Xavier Atkins. No, excuse me, 18, not 19. It's Tate Ryan on that side of the end zone. Scramble drill for Braden Atkinson, nearly able to connect.
Really good work by Atkinson to keep the play alive. Look at him initially flushed out of the pocket, tells the player to go downfield, and on the run, that's a perfect pass. And it's just really unfortunate that Tate Ryan can't get his feet up underneath him to get a little bit higher and back out the side of the end zone. But a really terrific play by Braden Atkinson, the quarterback.
So South Carolina takes over 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line, 4:14 on the clock here in the third quarter.
Great stop by the South Carolina defense when you consider their ability to bow up after that big run. And it was really the touchdown saving tackle that made the difference there by Aaron Littlejohn.
Oh, it's a nice play there. Talked about Greg Davis on the offensive line blocking downfield there, was able to pull Bomar down. Not an easy guy to tackle in space.
This is a little option look. You get the players running around the outside, and that's one that Bomar should likely pitch to the running back that's flanking him to the left, because the defensive line, as you mentioned, Ryan, was all over it on the quarterback keep.
Davis able to disengage with the blocker and then make that play on Bomar. Makes it 3rd down and 14. Fowler is wrapped up, so consecutive plays for lost yardage for South Carolina, and North Carolina is going to get the ball back in pretty good field position here toward the end of the third quarter.
North Carolina's defensive line has been phenomenal. Nick McIntosh there with the initial penetration up front. Didn't necessarily get the tackle, but slowed down the progress of the ball carrier just long enough for his teammates to come in. And they have been really the bright spot to this North Carolina team outside of Johnsky.
Johnsky hustles all the way up to the 28-yard line, which is where North Carolina will take over.
It's really interesting letting these 7th graders kick. I mean, provides a very short field. Neither of these teams really able to take advantage of that, but think about the kickoffs. A lot of these balls are being caught around the 40-yard line, 35-yard line, and that punt, I mean, the net was probably, 15 yards. So overall, these offenses have been put in a pretty good position to make some plays and to put some points up on the board. You know, because of North Carolina's defensive front and the aggressive nature with which they're playing, North Carolina's got another chance in the waning minutes of the third quarter to tie this thing up.
Right back on offense now with Atkinson in the shotgun. Another one-handed catch. The ball is on the ground, and South Carolina comes up with a turnover on the first play. Unforced error that time for North Carolina, taking advantage of Joshua Lee, scoops it up. Right back on offense, South Carolina, and the snap being off threw off the timing of the play completely.
Yeah, Atkinson trying to shovel it in a sense to, I mean, I think he was trying to shovel it up to Johnsky.
Yep.
And Johnsky had his back to him, just a broken play from the start, and Atkinson trying to do a little bit too much. And we're just talking about great field position. Could they knot it up? And the answer is no. "12 players on offense."
Count them, 1, 2, 3.
Referee still had his microphone on, just told him count them. There's 12 of them out there. So 1st and 15 now for South Carolina.
Nobody came off the field.
There are 11 out there now.
Are there?
No.
There's 12 players on the field still after the penalty. Nobody came off. Now we got it.
Maybe they won't call it twice. See what you can get away with. Fowler able to get outside, cuts it back. Fowler all the way to the 40-yard line. On 1st and 15, he gets 14 of them back. If you're South Carolina, you'd love a drive here that just chewed up the rest of this quarter on into the fourth quarter, put together a 5-6 minute drive.
Look at the size of Fowler's legs. Strong lower body. Makes him so tough to get down. He doesn't necessarily have that breakaway speed right now, but so strong. You can see his upper body working too with stiff arms, keeping players off of him, but that strength in his lower half is really what makes him tough to tackle.
Bomar being chased from behind. 4 different North Carolina defenders, 5-6 now. They'll give him forward progress all the way up to the 38.5, maybe 39-yard line, 3rd and short for South Carolina.
Good pursuit by North Carolina's defensive unit.
Kendall Scotton, the first one to wrap around Bomar. Husky looking to throw, now looking to run. Husky gets the first down for South Carolina. Fresh set of downs, and now a couple of flags go down. One near the sideline.
Yeah, we might be getting an illegal block in the back.
.39 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Husky, for now, thinks he's got a first down and wants to know what the next play is going to be.
We got 2 fouls on the play. We got block in the back, offense. We got dead ball, personal foul, late hit out of bounds on defense.
So we were getting another look at it. It was a good decision to tuck and run. There's the block in the back. And I do not see the late hit out of bounds. Here, number 8 on 52. Good call there. And Johnsky pulls up. That is not a late hit out of bounds. Really nice, clean play by Johnsky. Inexplicable.
So now they will mark off the 15-yard personal foul. Never really got an explanation as to.
So they're enforcing the late hit out of bounds.
It's first and down at the 50-yard line.
Because it's a dead ball penalty.
But then there's 2 more flags down, so we'll get something else here.
I'll let you explain this next
I
one.
had 5 in the backfield.
I can't explain the last one.
That's why I'm letting you do the next one.
You got illegal formation.
I'll give the referee this. He's succinct.
Yes. Yeah, maybe that's something we could take out of his book at some point, but too many men in the backfield here. Motion right before the snap. I mean, definitely some things wrong, but.
So 1st and 15 from the 45-yard line. Clock is running under 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Not much there that time for Fowler. That'll probably be the end of the third quarter. South Carolina leading North Carolina 8-0 here in the 7th grade game as part of the 2020 Carolina Bowl. Don't forget the 8th grade game, 4th and final game of the day to kick off at roughly 7 o'clock. And so we've head to the final 12 minutes with South Carolina looking to hold on to an 8-0 lead, plowing their way to 6, and then Bomar tacks on an additional 2. Palmetto State enjoying the lead. Will they enjoy the win? Stay with us.
Zenith Loop, no cap.
First play of the fourth quarter, another handoff to an Ajay Fowler for South Carolina. It'll be 3rd and 12. Neither team took a timeout in the third quarter, so 6 to work with here in the fourth. Can South Carolina find a way? Figure even if they get to 4th and 2 or 3, maybe you go for it. Bomar going to be well short even of that hypothetical mark. So you got to think that South Carolina will punt here, but you talked about it, Dave. It's a 10 or 15-yard net gain. Midfield in the fourth quarter, feel like you have to kick it, but you're not gaining a ton out of it.
Right. I still think it's the right thing to do to kick here. In this situation, you've got to back North Carolina back. Your defense has been strong if you're South Carolina for the most part. And again, it factors in if you're able to get a 3 and out, it can factor into where you get the ball back after this.
Brock Feinberg to punt.
Great
Better
punt.
kick that time.
Well worth it there.
Now that time closer to about a 30-yard net. And so North Carolina will take over at its own 22-yard line, minute and a half into the fourth quarter. What can North Carolina do here?
I mean, you've got to find somebody to complement Johnsky, right? I mean, he has been your bright spot. Atkinson's made a few good plays at quarterback, but rely on your offensive line. They've been playing well up front, and hand the ball off to somebody else. Get the defense to bite in, then take a shot deep. Atkinson has the arm. You just got to find somebody to go deep.
Jet sweep. Tackled. Brilliant play that time by DJ Henderson to drag down Kendall Scotton.
Henderson has been all over the place, too. We've called his name numerous times, and there on the sweep, he reads it coming. That's hard to do from your down line position. He sees Scotton come in motion, and Henderson gets up the field and just gobbles him up. Great job, and that's from the backside, too, showing tremendous explosion from that defensive tackle spot. 55 for South Carolina. Henderson has been all over the place.
Perhaps our first timeout of the game.
Blue.
It'll be taken by North Carolina. They'll have 2 more, 9:45 to play. 2nd and 14 from their own 18-yard line. I think they're trying to get the ball in somebody else's hands other than Johnsky. That's why you're on the jet sweep with Scott, and it just hasn't worked. And credit to South Carolina for staying at home, staying with their assignments on plays like that, not getting caught up in all the motion. It's a 4-yard loss.
I still think North Carolina's got to find a way to challenge South Carolina's defense deep. Everything's been east to west. You've got to find a way to open up the defense a little bit down the field. Outside of the one pass play down the field in the red zone where Atkinson was able to evade some of the pressure and find Tate Ryan or attempt to find Tate Ryan in the end zone, there really hasn't been a whole lot of downfield passing.
Atkinson to his right, looking that time for Moriangelo Scanes. Flag down on the play. A couple of them, in fact. The fact that the conversation is being had with the South Carolina coaching staff leads you to believe it's against North Carolina. Trying to get a sense of whether they want to decline or accept the penalty.
We got multiple fouls on the offense. We got ineligible downfield, and we got a hole on the offense.
Imagine the ineligible downfield will be declined. The hold will be accepted.
Take a look at the hold here. Looks like the right guard, 72, gets held. And, again, you assume another offensive lineman may have gone down the field to get that penalty. Either way results in tough situation for the North Carolina offense. South Carolina is able to pin their ears back here. You might want to consider a screen, a draw play, and if all else fails, just get the ball into Johnsky's hands.
Atkinson forced to throw that one away as he was pressured in his own end zone. Board says 4th down. Down marker says 3rd down.
Worst news of all for North Carolina, Johnsky wasn't even in on the last play. We still don't know really, Ryan, what down it is.
It has to be 3rd down. I can't imagine that North Carolina would have run it up the middle on 4th and 26 from their own 3-yard line. But to be totally honest, I've lost connection with reality here in the 7th grade edition. This is kind of incredible. This is an all-timer, no question about it. Now, North Carolina will punt on 4th and 26. On the one hop, it is caught at the 35-yard line. Pretty good punt to help switch the field position just a little bit. 8:48 to play. South Carolina has a chance to put this one away with a score, you would think. Get the sense that North Carolina needs a turnover.
North Carolina needs a little bit of a miracle and some life on offense if they're going to come back. And they had a big play earlier, but so far, I mean, in this second half, they've been pretty much dead in the rights every single time.
There's the fumble. There's the scoop. Will we have the score? Has an escort. Pushed out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Kendall Scotton returns it for North Carolina.
Watch the hit here. Right on the football. Beautiful job.
Xavier Adkins
just gets his helmet right on it.
Needed one more block. Did Kendall Scotton. Pass was complete to Markel Woods, and North Carolina got exactly what it needed.
With this kind of life now, you can assume that with the momentum that you've got, just hand it off to Johnsky. That's what's worked. He wasn't in on the last offensive possession. Hopefully he's got some rest. Didn't have to be out there on defense. And now just call the number 9 over and over again down the field.
How about Tyja Nesbitt hustling to prevent that from being a touchdown? Look for all the world like Kendall Scotton was headed toward the end zone. Nesbitt pushed him out of bounds, and now the South Carolina defense at least has a chance and immediately comes up with a tackle for loss, 2nd and 11.
Yeah, and Johnsky remains on the sideline for this North Carolina crew. By far the most electric player that we've seen them have tonight. And that is a huge development in the course of this game, Ryan.
Yeah, he's been banged up a little bit, hobbling at times. You wonder if he's less than 100%. Atkinson has a man, just overthrowing Xavier Atkinson. Excuse me, Xavier Adkins. It was Atkinson on the throw. And now 3rd and 11. There's that test of the South Carolina defensive backfield that you were wanting.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want. It's just inches outside of the grasp with the receiver down the field. But again, that goes a long way, and you're kind of running out of time here, and tough to be in a 3rd and long situation. But that keeps the defense a little bit stretched out. They can't load the box as much, and you can have some success running the ball.
Handoff this time inside. About 4 yards short of the first down is Scotton, who has become the go-to back with Johnsky on the sidelines.
And this is clearly 4 down territory.
Fourth and 4 for North Carolina.
Another run play up the middle possible. You see South Carolina spread out a little bit more. Their defensive line is tired. Some communication going up front along the line of scrimmage.
Atkinson looking to his left. It's off the hands of Zach Frazier, and the ball will go over to South Carolina.
Well played by number 12, Armani Weaver, the defensive back. And North Carolina, I think, would like to have that one back. They spread them out a little bit, had South Carolina with a single linebacker in the box, and an opportunity there to hand the ball off potentially to Kendall Scotton, who picked up 4 yards before. Could have gotten a first down on that play, but regardless, South Carolina able to make a stop off of the turnover, get the ball back into the hands of their offense, and the likes of Bomar, Lincoln Husky, different players can come out and hopefully milk some of this clock if you're the South Carolina team.
Under 7 minutes to play. The handoff goes to Nesbitt. Flag down on the play.
Hold. Offense.
Physicality down there in the line of scrimmage. Big hitting taking place tonight. The rain has stopped. Field conditions look good, and certainly excited for this 8th grade game coming up, but got a nail biter on our hands here inside Brooksfield at Wallace Wade Stadium, Ryan.
Last thing that South Carolina needed was a 10-yard penalty on that play. Pushes them farther back. Now just outside the 15-yard line. Perhaps some question as to where the ball should be spotted. Nice stiff arm from Bomar, but he's escorted out of bounds shortly thereafter by Isaiah DeLoach. Bomar with a pickup of a few. Still second and long for South Carolina.
Got another flag on the play.
They'll walk off some more yardage in favor of North Carolina. So now 1st and 28. South Carolina going the wrong direction here. Back to their own 10-yard line. The handoff now. Looking to get outside. Stepping out of one tackle, nearly another. Aaron Littlejohn for South Carolina. Well, if North Carolina can get a stop here, they're going to have some excellent field position.
2nd down and 26, Ryan. I mean,
got to have it here if you're North Carolina, right?
Penalties have been the Achilles heel of South Carolina here. It's pretty amazing when you think about it that North Carolina's defense is actually playing offense, essentially. They are moving the ball backwards.
Imagine they'll keep it on the ground. Here's Bomar. Slew of North Carolina defenders out there. Bomar needs to protect the ball inside his own 5. They'll say forward progress was stopped all the way back to his 4-yard line. South Carolina has to get to the 38 for a first down. Just your routine 3rd and 34 play.
You really don't have anything in a playbook for a situation like this.
Well, like you said, North Carolina has actually gained 24 yards on this defensive possession.
Especially when you consider the way that the kicking game has gone for both of these teams. The punt has not been all that effective. And North Carolina, you've got to expect, is going to get the ball with about 4 minutes and change. Another penalty on the field.
12 men on the field again for South Carolina. There's not even enough yards left. That's half the distance at this point.
Roll. Stops the clock momentarily, and I mean, you're going to have 3rd down and 36.
If you're North Carolina, barring something crazy here, you're going to have the ball inside probably the 25-yard line.
Cannot afford a late hit or any kind of other penalty, face mask. Good work by the defense, and a late penalty came in.
Flag comes in.
I've never seen anything like this. I mean, there's been an explanation on every single play.
We got dead ball, personal foul.
Dead ball, personal foul, pointed in the direction of the offense, but we never heard whether it was the offense or defense.
Let's take a look here. Look at number 38. Late does come in. You're right. 38. It's a good call. After the play is over, 38 in white. That's Jonathan Talton comes in and lays out one of the North Carolina players in another poor turn of events for South Carolina. They are going the wrong direction, Ryan, and if they win this game, this series is certainly not going to be why.
So South Carolina loses 25 yards officially. Pretty good punt. It's caught at the 31-yard line. Really good punt, truthfully, considering the situation. North Carolina, though, takes over 31 yards away from the end zone, which is actually inside where the first down marker was on the start of that possession, which is kind of remarkable. And it wasn't because they got in a fourth down stop, or it was actual punt.
And I'd like to see where South Carolina initially started that last drive.
Well, it would have been at the 28-yard line because the first down was at the 38. And North Carolina is now starting the drive at the 31.
So all of that really only resulted in time going off the clock because North Carolina picks up the ball right where they left off, give or take a yard or two.
And now a timeout for North Carolina. Their second of 3. 4:27 left in the fourth quarter. 8-0 the score in favor of South Carolina, but an inefficient possession for the Palmetto State that last time out, and a chance for North Carolina to take advantage. The good news, if you're South Carolina, is that without Johnsky, North Carolina's really had a hard time getting something going offensively. Wait to see if he comes back in this game.
Also, the good news for South Carolina is they were able to convert that two-point conversion, which has not been an easy task for any team tonight. And so with the 8-point lead, it's certainly an uphill battle for North Carolina despite their current field position. The time right now, when you think about it, is actually working against South Carolina because North Carolina has plenty of time to move down the field. Will South Carolina have a chance for a rebuttal should North Carolina score, and another late penalty flag?
Turner McSwain in at quarterback, perhaps more of a running option as he takes off on that first snap. As you mentioned, Dave, flagged down about the 18-yard line.
There's been a penalty, Ryan, thrown probably every other play in this game.
Certainly felt that way. .420 to play. This game has taken well over 2 hours, in part because of all of the calls.
Personal foul.
Another personal foul on South Carolina. This time, it's one thing when your own team has the ball and you're moving backwards. It's another thing when the other team has the ball and you're allowing them to move forward. So now North Carolina will be inside or right at about the 15-yard line with a fresh set of downs.
It's really an incredible series of events, and North Carolina's got to capitalize. I've not seen a team get a mulligan quite like this.
Trying to bust it outside. Good pursuit there for the South Carolina defense. It was led by Caleb Costantino.
Costantino's had himself a great night. Oftentimes when things go wrong or you feel like the officials might be taking control of a game, as a player, that motivates you that much more. And you turn on your effort and try to crank it up a little bit more to make an impact on the game. And for South Carolina, they can do that by having a stout defensive performance here.
Hard to see the number down on the ground for South Carolina.
Looks to me like 55.
DJ Henderson,
who's had a great night as well. He's been all over the place. Good to see him up and okay.
4 minutes exactly on the clock. North Carolina down to its final timeout. 2nd and 13 from the 18-yard line. Got to appreciate each and every fan who is here right now, having sat through the deluge of rain earlier on this evening when this game started. A nice job there. It's Jonathan Talton able to take down McSwain. Big time loss of yardage. Both offenses having trouble going forward here late in this one.
Yeah, and Talton getting after the quarterback, and it was really good coverage, too, down the field. The defense was all over it. No options for McSwain to go to, and Talton making a big play. The clock continues to run.
Third and 21. Have 2 downs to get the 21 yards. There's a hit to the head. That's probably going to be a personal foul and an automatic first down. So Atkinson is taken down on the play, but I think this is going to be a personal foul. Atkinson is still down.
Hold. Offense.
Never mind. Holding on the offense. I thought it was helmet-to-helmet contact.
Did appear to be that, but I'm assuming this penalty will be declined.
Yes, I would think you'd rather have it be 4th and a while. You see Atkinson.
I wonder if he fell on the football when he was coming down awkwardly.
Two minutes and 59 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. North Carolina just about down to its final chance here. Wait to see whether the penalty will be accepted or declined. Certainly, more importantly, hoping that Braden Atkinson is okay. So officially, that penalty has been declined. It'll be 4th down. With 2:59 on the clock and just one timeout, just about the final chance for North Carolina. Atkinson still being tended to by the trainers at about the 36-yard line. Up to his feet, albeit gingerly. Well, Dave, there aren't a whole lot of, we talked about, what was it, 3rd and 38 maybe for South Carolina. There's not a whole lot of plays in the playbook for 4th and looks like about 23 for North Carolina.
No. And it's really the last chance that they've got. With only one timeout left, a first down for South Carolina would really ice it away if they have to have a turnover on downs here. And honestly, for North Carolina, there has not been a whole lot of positive offensively in the second half.
Play clock is running. North Carolina just getting back out on the field now with 8 seconds. They're probably going to have to burn this final timeout or take another 5-yard penalty, and there is the timeout. Just no way they were going to get that play off in time. Reminder that at about 7 o'clock, although I don't know, since this game has gone on so long, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to affect the schedule, but at around 7 o'clock, we'll have the conclusion of today's quadruple header, the 8th grade game here at the 2020 Carolina Bowl between North and South Carolina. South Carolina a play away from taking a 2-1 lead in the series, so to speak. North Carolina won the 5th grade matchup 12-6. South Carolina won the 6th grade matchup 22-14. And with a stop here on 4th and about 23, South Carolina looking very much like they're going to go to 2 wins and 1 loss on the day. Let's see what North Carolina has cooked up here. Might see a hook and ladder type play. McSwain rolls to his right, and now he's beyond the line of scrimmage. He's got a long way to run. Once he crossed that line of scrimmage, no way he could throw the ball. So that'll do it. Be a turnover on downs. South Carolina will take over at about the 17-yard line. 2:42 to play. No timeouts now for North Carolina. That's the other issue with having to call that timeout after the injury. Now you cannot stop the clock. So South Carolina can all but run this out. Be some time left, but not much for North Carolina to work with if they were able to get a 3 and out.
Yeah, right now, if you're South Carolina, the most important thing on the field is the ball and staying in bounds. So easy handoffs. I mean, I'd even consider taking a knee.
That's what I was wondering.
3
Take a
different
knee
times.
and then punt.
Just wait for the clock to get down to the play clock to get to 0 and then punt it away.
I've always wondered why more teams don't do that. I mean, yes, you might run an extra 3 or 4 seconds, maybe 5 off the clock, but you're also bringing the risk of a turnover, especially with the conditions the way they are.
Exactly.
And I'm talking about the NFL level even. I don't know why people don't necessarily do that. But here is the play being run.
Got to stay in bounds. Good work.
Really nice job, not only staying in bounds, but getting the first down for Najee Fowler.
And that should be enough. Now with the 40-second play clock, although the clock did stop for the first down, so that's going to hurt South Carolina's ability to drain some of this clock. But, you know, to your point again, Ryan, the fact that you're not rushing the punt also helps, because one of the concerns in a normal game situation would be that the team rushing the punt could maybe get a punt block and pick up the football in good field position. But since there's no punt rush allowed, you really don't have to worry about that.
North Carolina caught with too many men on the field, so it'll be 1st and 5 for South Carolina. Just sort of in all these hypotheticals, you're probably going to, even in a real game,
dead ball, illegal
you're going to punt
substitution.
anyway. So say you're 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, and you're playing for Duke and you're playing North Carolina. I've always wondered, what's the risk reward? You know, somebody's probably got an algorithm out there to figure that out, but you know, the 5 seconds that you run off the clock versus having to take a real snap and hand off a ball, and could it be stripped and whatever, you're going to end up punting anyway, chances are, because you're going to run the ball. The other team knows you're going to run the ball, so you're probably not going to gain significant yardage on those run plays. I've always wondered.
I think as a coach, you want to do what you can to control it. And it's going to be an illegal formation. It's going to come back, stop the clock.
Okay, illegal shift.
Illegal shift. Didn't get set after going in motion, but you want to be able to control it.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity, as we see here, number 4 not getting set as the ball is snapped, but
nearly a fumble, by the way, in running that play.
The opportunity of picking up a first down and being able to ice it away, I think is juicy enough of a chance and a reward, if you will.
Absolutely. The carrot is out
there
for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd wonder.
Because if you punt it away, you don't know if it's going to be a bad punt, a blocked punt.
Sure. No,
or if they're going to return your punt.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they do return your punt, then they might still have a chance to move the ball down the field.
Fowler falls down there. Yeah, and it's kind of like onside kicks, the percentage of those recovered. I'd love to know in those, because those are certain circumstances, right, where everybody knows it's going to be a run play. Now, granted, every once in a while you see somebody, right, play action, they throw it for the easy 2-yard completion. But in those drives, in those circumstances, I'd be fascinated to see the percentage of those where a first down is gained.
Yeah.
And how many of them end up
I'm sure somebody knows.
And if not, somebody will do it at some point and
as they
start a website about it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But that's I've always been curious about that, just because they got analytics for everything else, so why not add that to the mix? Fowler on 2nd and long, all the way to the 37-yard line. And that should do it with 40 seconds on the play clock and 32, now 31 and 30 on the game clock. I think South Carolina is going to win this 7th grade matchup 8-0. What an incredible, up and down, at times bizarre affair this one was. The 3rd game out of 4 in the 2020 Carolina Bowl.
At the end of the day, it's the points on the board that matter, however you got there, and congratulations to South Carolina pulling ahead over their rivals in North Carolina. Some big plays.
And how fitting that the last play of the game, the ball on the deck. But that's how it'll end. Zeros on the board, 8-0. South Carolina wins the 7th grade matchup here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium.
I actually think that's still a dead ball, and nobody recovered it. Ball is still on the deck. Clock technically doesn't have any effect on that. But either way, that's the end of the game, and congratulations to South Carolina. What a great experience for these players, both sides. North Carolina, South Carolina, to come up here, spend a week in Durham, North Carolina, a chance to really experience what it's like to have that college bowl feel and to meet people from all over your state and meet people from the opposing state and spend some time. Congratulations to all of them for, first of all, being selected, but also showing tremendous effort on the field today and off the field in order to get here. So just a really great moment and one that should be celebrated.
A few award winners to be named. First, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, we'll find out the most outstanding players of the 7th grade matchup for the 2020 Carolina Bowl.
We don't have much. We don't have a lot. We're not a big 6A, 5A school with thousands of kids. We have like 35 kids on the team. And whatever they get, man, they really appreciate it. I wanted to put our kids in the best situation possible. Zenith is consistent. They're ranked amongst the best in regards to protection on the NFL level all the way down.
Family on me, family on 3, 1, 2, 3.
It gets real tomorrow, fellas. We're playing against a pretty darn good team, and we got to go out and execute. Are we prepared mentally?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We thankfully partnered with Zenith. They're doing a wonderful job, but we want to just show you a little something.
They really care about kids. They really care about our future. And I happen to have 2 kids on this team. So that means that they care about what I care about. That's a wonderful match.
he's the director of player development. Me, did a great job in player selection. 2 even teams played very hard. Again, as you go through your career, you have to get used to playing in these types of games. Because as you go towards state semifinals, quarterfinals, state finals against a state champion opponent, A-class opponent like yourself, is going to be a very physical slugfest event. All right? Great defense, maybe a lot of offense one night, but you got to keep fighting, persevere like the speaker told you on last night. Saw a lot of good things out of a lot of good guys. Man, I got a lot of notes on a lot of good players, okay? Got a few awards to give out, but all of you played extremely well. I hope you learned something about yourself tonight. It's tough. Coaches appreciate you. It's tough to come out with about 5 or 6 practices and get it all together and get them ready to go with all the things you had to do after the holiday to get up here and get it taken care of. You did a magnificent job of working with a group you never met. Many of these kids had never met before. So they came out here and put on a great game for the parents to showcase what they've picked up in just this short time, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Awards. The most outstanding offensive award for North Carolina. Guy that handled it a lot. He was a big reason why they was in position. The most outstanding offensive player for the night is Joseph Johnsky. South Carolina, most outstanding offensive player. I don't know, son. We talked earlier in the week. You wanted to meet with your coach and had an opportunity to talk to him about what his plan was. I saw you play defense. I saw you play corner, safety, some linebacker, receiver, and then some quarterback. And you said you wanted to do a lot more at quarterback. All I can tell you is you had about 6 or 7 things that was planned for you. The thing that he said that he wanted to do was the thing that you excelled at the most. Okay? So always go with your coaching because we see things in you that you may not see in yourself. The most outstanding offensive player of the game, Kamarius Bomar. Defensive players. For North Carolina, there was actually 2. I watched and both made big plays. And being recognized in these moments for what you've done in the game has to do with game impact, right? It's not he made a tackle or 2 more than the guy. That's not game impact. That's a great play, but game impact. Both of these guys made game-impacting plays when maybe there wasn't nothing going on for our team. That gives us momentum, and it changes the game. Defensive player of the game for North Carolina. There's 2, so I want both of you guys to take pictures with the trophy, and I have to send one out. Zach Frazier and Kendall Scotton. Both of you guys come up. Good job. Take a picture with it first. Okay. Parents, they're going to have to flip a coin to see who take that one home, and I'll send the other one out. Sorry. You only had one made. Okay. South Carolina Defensive Player of the Game. Made a lot of plays, flew around tonight, did some really, really good stuff. Again, he showed up. He showed up in critical moments in this game. And some of this stuff is new to y'all or a surprise to y'all, but you shouldn't be because they made these plays all during the game. Number 12, Armani Weaver. Lineman of the year, North Carolina. Lineman of the game, excuse me, North Carolina. Kid plays like a wild man. He plays like a wild man, and he does it every day in practice. He does it every time in the game. He just plays hard. Plays hard. Okay? Number 52, Isaac Wren. One of the things we want to point out about Isaac, he didn't get recognized last night, but he's also one of our legacy players, meaning that he started with us when we started the Carolina Bowl, and he's one of the inaugural members of our first graduating class. Okay, last award, South Carolina Lineman of the Game. Okay, actually, here we go. This kid played on the line, was phenomenal chasing the ball down all game from the line position, but then went and did some other positions on offense, including playing running back. Okay, had an unbelievable game, came out of nowhere. We didn't know him before tonight, but now we know who he is. Comes from a famous football town with tremendous, I think that school in his town has 17 state championships. South Carolina lineman of the game, Aaron Littlejohn. Hammer foot, upside down, boy. All right, last award. MVP, overall game MVP. Played hard. If he's not here, I think you guys play well. I don't know if you win this game against a good team, okay? All of you guys contributed, but I think he contributed the most. And I'm saying it this way because I want to say it this way. The MVP, number 14, and Najee Fowler. Guys, great job. Great game. Dab it up one more time, and then you guys go ahead and do your thing. Get your check out.
So that's it for Game 3, the 7th grade edition of the 2020 Carolina Bowl. The MVP, Najee Fowler, his South Carolina team gets the 8-0 win. In just a few minutes, we'll have the start of the 8th grade game, 4th and final game here at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium. North Carolina looking to split the series. South Carolina looking for the 3-1 win and bragging rights over their rival. It ain't nothing for us to be at number one. No matter which state, Carolina number one.